Theo declined Yona's request to teach her his swordsmanship technique. Yona proposed learning just one form of swordsmanship, but Theo explained that his technique was not something that could be learned by simply teaching the forms. He mentioned that his technique could only be wielded in conjunction with another technique. Yona then inquired about the other technique Theo used during his attacks, besides the cloning technique. Yona contemplated the terms of the bet and declared that if Theo emerged victorious, she would agree to any favor he asked for, regardless of what it may be. Surprised by her declaration, Theo sought clarification, asking if she truly meant anything. Yona emphatically confirmed, shouting that she would indeed listen to anything he wanted. Theo realized he couldn't casually reveal his master's techniques. However, he was impressed that Yona had discerned his advancement technique. Uncertain of his next step, Theo eventually decided to trust Yona's sincerity. He acknowledged Yona's honesty, while Yona expressed confidence in Theo, believing he would share valuable techniques with her. Theo assured her that he would indeed share useful techniques with her. Yona laid out the terms of the bet, stating that if she failed to guess correctly in 10 attempts, Theo would win. Theo then instructed Yona to guess which of the 3 clones was the real him. To his surprise, Yona confidently pointed to the middle clone as the real Theo. Astounded, Theo questioned how she knew. Yona simply remarked that it was quite straightforward. She asked Theo if he was taking the bet seriously. Theo, feeling disheartened, confirmed that he was indeed serious, reflecting on his efforts up to that point. Theo conceded the victory to Yona, who smiled triumphantly. Keeping his word, Theo agreed to share one technique with her. Grateful, Yona expressed her thanks. Curious about her intuition, Theo inquired how she had known which clone was the real one. With a mischievous grin, Yona playfully kept it a secret, teasing Theo that he could challenge her again once he could create 4 clones. In their next challenge, Yona promised to give Theo 30 opportunities to guess the clones. Theo, somewhat dismissive, shared the technique he had given her, the spiral bomb. He explained that it involved rotating spiritual energy and condensing it into a circle, allowing for the incorporation of up to 5 elements and possessing significant destructive power. Impressed, Yona acknowledged the effectiveness of the technique. Theo expressed his intent to attempt the cloning technique once more, to which Yona agreed. She playfully offered to grant 2 of his wishes if he succeeded. 2 months later, every one of Theo's alter egos was easily discerned by Yona. She teased Theo not to be too disappointed. In response, Theo passed on a new skill called the Inner Binding Seal to Yona. Theo suspected that Yona was keeping a secret from him, but he couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. Half a year later, at the cultivation area, Yona inquired about their plans for the evening. Theo firmly replied, refusing to engage in any further challenges. He expressed concern that if they continued, Yona would end up mastering all the techniques he possessed. A man ran towards Theo and Yona, calling out to them. The man explained that he had a transfer order for disciple Theo. Surprised, Yona inquired about the reason for the transfer. She questioned why the transfer was happening when Theo was performing admirably. The man addressed Yona, explaining that she might not have been aware due to her frequent presence in the cultivation area, but a great war was unfolding throughout Yangzhou. He elaborated that an internal conflict had erupted within the awakened sect, leading to chaos within their ranks. However, he reassured Yona that they were closer to victory than ever. Furthermore, he assured her that both Yona and Theo had been excluded from participating in the war. Yona noted that Theo was still in the Dan development stage, implying that he wouldn't be of much assistance even if he were to participate in the war. The man responded, affirming that Theo wouldn't be involved in a dangerous war, thereby alleviating Yona's concerns. Yona inquired about the specifics of the situation. The man explained that Theo would be deployed under the siege group to clear out the remnants of the Seo family from Choksan. He reassured Yona that even if Theo encountered the rebels, they would be weakened and exhausted, posing no real danger to him. Yona expressed that there was even more reason for Theo not to go given the circumstances. Theo contemplated whether he should participate in the mission, considering its connection to the Seo family from Choksan. Grateful for the opportunity they had provided him to go to Lone Spirit Land, he acknowledged the importance of obeying the sect's summons and appreciated their consideration towards him. Theo concluded that there was no reason for him to refuse the assignment. The man praised Theo, emphasizing the importance of displaying such passion as a disciple of the Iron Sphere sect. Yona issued a warning to Theo, to which he promptly responded that he would prepare without delay. Yona expressed her concern for his safe return, to which Theo reassured her, stating that he would be back before she realized it. As the Seo family was struggling to survive, Grace warned that going in that direction was not an option. Wayne explained that their family had prepared an arrangement in advance in case of annihilation, which was their only hope for survival. He emphasized the importance of avoiding leaving traces behind in order to reach the mountain of plain fields and survive for the time being. Carl expressed his exhaustion, stating that he had no more strength left and suggesting a short rest. Wayne emphasized the importance of continuing to move, especially for the sake of their family members who had sacrificed their lives for them. Grace pointed out that even Wayne would collapse if they kept going, urging them to take a break. She highlighted that they had been running for half a day and reassured them that if they hid well in the dense forest, they would be safe. Grace proposed resting for just 15 minutes to regain their strength. Wayne reflected on the tragedy of losing many members of a once proud family overnight. He realized the betrayal only after witnessing the attacks from the Justice Sex Tiger clan and the 3 Ministry martial arts family. An elderly man appeared, laughing as he found Wayne and the others. Wayne confronted the elderly man, identified as Elder Bob, confirming his suspicions. Elder Bob acknowledged his presence and asked if Wayne had been waiting for him. Wayne expressed his long-standing respect for Elder Bob, admitting his surprise at encountering him in this situation. He appealed to Elder Bob for mercy. Elder Bob dismissed Wayne's plea, declaring that he showed no mercy, especially towards individuals he considered scum. Wayne then offered to reward Elder Bob if he chose to overlook their presence. Elder Bob inquired about the reward. Wayne revealed that their entire sect had already been destroyed, rendering the spirit stones they had collected for reconstruction useless. He offered to give all the spirit stones to Elder Bob. However, Elder Bob expressed skepticism about trusting Wayne. Instead, he proposed a different course of action to kill Wayne and completely eradicate his bloodline. Wayne instructed Grace and Carl not to intervene under any circumstances. Despite the tense situation, Wayne stepped forward towards Bob. Bob expressed his boredom with the situation before striking and hitting the Seo family members. Wayne, facing the imminent danger, expressed his desire to propose something to Bob before his demise. Bob, dismissive and irritated, referred to Wayne as persistent and rejected his proposal, urging him to simply die. Wayne shouted, declaring his willingness to sacrifice himself to save the reputation of the Seo family from Chokson. He offered to reveal the location of the spirit stones in exchange for sparing the lives of Grace and Carl. Bob agreed to listen to Wayne's last wish and requested the location of the spirit stones as per their agreement. Wayne cautioned Bob that Grace and Carl were unaware of the location of the spirit stones and might react adversely if they found out. He insisted on sharing the information privately with Bob. Bob questioned Wayne's method, suggesting that he could simply write a message instead. However, Wayne explained that he was too depleted to do so, having discarded his pouch of abundance and torn clothes, leaving nothing to hide. As Bob approached Wayne and requested the location of the spirit stones, Wayne suddenly attacked him with smoke emanating from his mouth. Bob recoiled, realizing that his body was being paralyzed, and his spiritual energy was dispersing due to the unexpected assault. Wayne, Grace, and Carl hurriedly fled the scene as Bob threatened to pursue them, even signaling for help by lighting a signal in the sky. His men noticed the signal and questioned its significance, considering the distance too great for them to intervene. However, upon realizing it was a signal from Master Bob, they decided to heed the call and find a suitable location to camp. Theo, feeling a sense of urgency, decided to act swiftly. He left one of his alter egos behind and made his way to the location, hoping that Wayne and the others would be safe. Bob shouted, asserting that there was no point in trying to escape as they were well within his reach. He taunted Grace, suggesting that if they had left Wayne behind, their chances of escaping would have been higher. Grace realized there was nowhere left to run. She gently laid Wayne on the ground, finding solace in the fact that his senses were paralyzed, sparing him from feeling the pain of death. Grace reflected that their deaths would go unnoticed by others. Grace confronted Bob, denouncing him as a criminal and vowing to curse him even in her death. Bob callously threw his weapon at Grace, taunting her about the prospect of haunting him as a ghost and witnessing him live a prosperous and eternal life. Unexpectedly, someone intervened and defended Grace from the attack. Startled, Bob demanded to know the identity of the mysterious savior. Bob was puzzled by encountering the law of spirit energy alchemist for the first time and wondered where this individual had suddenly appeared from. Addressing the mysterious savior, Bob acknowledged the complex entanglement between the three ministry martial arts family, the Seo family of Choksan, and the Tiger Clan. He emphasized that it was a matter not meant for outsiders to intervene in and advised the newcomer to move along. Baron instructed Grace to apply the wound pill to their injuries and to each take a recovery pill to restore their spiritual energy. Grace wondered whether Baron knew Wayne, but she quickly dismissed the thought as not being the right time for such questions. Grace then assisted her brother in taking the wound pill as instructed. Bob inquired if Baron knew Wayne and if he was from the Seo family of Choksan. Baron clarified that he was from the Iron Sphere sect. Perplexed, Bob questioned why the Iron Sphere sect was assisting the Seo family. Baron, emanating a fighting aura with his Dharma tool, asserted that he was not aiding the Seo family but rather impeding Bob's actions out of personal dislike towards him. Bob was enraged and reacted strongly to Baron's declaration. Bob noted that Baron was wielding 5 Dharma tools simultaneously, prompting him to focus on his spiritual barrier for protection. Realizing the need for reinforcements, Bob decided to call for support. Suddenly, Baron utilized his array of tools against Bob in the midst of the confrontation. Bob's spirit barrier was shattered, leading him to fight back against Baron. However, Baron skillfully utilized his tools in combat against Bob. Infuriated, Bob confronted Baron, expressing anger at his unexpected intervention and obstruction. In the intense clash, Baron's sword managed to pierce Bob, causing him to collapse to the ground. Baron declared that Bob would no longer be able to manipulate his subordinates and juniors. Bob, shocked and dismayed, could not believe what was happening. Suddenly, he recalled his previous encounter with Theo. Overwhelmed by the turn of events, Bob was ultimately defeated by Theo. Theo reflected on the extensive use of spirit stones to deploy his Dharma tools up to the Destruction Sword's arts level. Grace, feeling anxious, recalled Elder Baron mentioning the Iron Sphere sect, the fierce rival of their Justice sect. She pondered the paradox of Baron potentially being able to harm them at any moment, yet he provided them with wound pills and recovery pills. Grace questioned why he chose to help them despite the threat he posed. Baron smiled, indicating that everything was now resolved. Theo revealed his presence, stating, "It's me!" Grace was surprised and inquired how Theo had arrived there. Theo explained that he had ventured into the Iron Sphere sect for some business and found himself at their current location. Urging them to move quickly, he suggested they continue their conversation while on the move and instructed Grace to get on. Grace was amazed by the remarkable effects of the recovery pill, enabling her to ride a sword confidently. She noted that her brother Wayne's condition had stabilized, acknowledging that without Theo's assistance, their escape would have been unlikely. Despite her initial understanding that Theo was in the early stages of heavenly birth, Grace was puzzled by how he had reached the law of spirit energy. She wondered if he had been concealing his true mastery all along. Theo cautioned the group, informing them that 5 Law of Spirit energy alchemists were nearing their location, with the possibility of more reinforcements arriving once the situation was realized. Feeling fearful, Grace expressed concern about the potential escalation if the Tiger Clan and the 3 Ministry Martial Arts family collaborated, anticipating over 10 individuals converging on the Mountain of 5 Gates. However, she reassured Theo, acknowledging his efforts to assist them and indicating that they wouldn't hold it against him if he chose to leave them. Grace, displaying confidence, expressed that if Theo continued to support them until they reached the Mountain of Plain Fields, they would repay him even if it meant sacrificing their lives. Theo acknowledged the weight of Grace's request, stating that it was burdensome. Despite this, he pledged to do his utmost to assist them. Theo contemplated that if his life was ever in danger, he would detach himself from his physical body to escape harm. Despite having some connections to the Seo family, he stated that these ties were not strong enough to warrant sacrificing his life for them. Theo abruptly halted their movement, indicating that they were surrounded. Addressing the evil sect, Theo demanded they reveal themselves instead of observing from afar. A man from the sect mentioned discovering Uncle Bob's body on the path to their location. He expressed doubt about Wayne from the Seo family being able to defeat Uncle Bob, even if Wayne, Grace, and Carl joined forces. The man questioned Theo's motives, asking if he had helped the Seo family from Choksan due to a desire to assist them. Theo confirmed this, but also admitted to holding a personal grudge. The man acknowledged that Uncle Bob was an ambitious individual who likely had accumulated various grievances. However, despite the grudges, no one had dared to act on them until now. Understanding Theo's personal vendetta against Uncle Bob, The man expressed that he had no intention of blaming Theo for the situation. Nevertheless, he emphasized the importance of restoring the dignity of the fallen family. The man revealed that an elder of the family had passed away, compelling him to take action in response to the situation. Theo, realizing the potential consequences of prolonging the conflict, understood that continuing the fight would not lead to a positive outcome. Despite feeling remorseful towards the Seo family from Choksan, he prioritized his own safety. Theo decided to avoid engaging with the middle-class law of spirit energy alchemist, opting instead to focus on defense and retreat in the opposite direction. Theo reflected that deploying the giant shadow tortoise shells had been a wise decision, enabling him to effectively defend against the attacks from the alchemists. However, the lack of movement from a particular alchemist made him uneasy. In particular, Theo found the alchemist carrying a flail to be especially bothersome. Instead of allowing that adversary to pursue him, Theo decided to swiftly neutralize that threat and make a prompt escape. Theo employed a lesser smoke bomb and the swelter of anxiety techniques to create distractions among the enemies. Additionally, he utilized technique clones to further confuse and misdirect them. However, amidst the chaos, Theo was struck by a water technique attack, causing him to fall to the ground. Surprised, Theo inquired how his true location had been discovered. The man explained that he had anticipated Theo's actions by putting himself in Theo's position. Recognizing the threat posed by the man with the flail weapon, the man deduced that Theo would likely target him due to the danger the flail presented. Theo lamented to himself, realizing that his confidence in being able to escape was more pitiful than anything else. The man declared that it was time to bring the situation to a close. Suddenly, another mysterious man appeared, surprising everyone. The enemy, taken aback, questioned the newcomer's identity, addressing him as Dante. Dante confronted the man, questioning if he intended to prevent Dante from taking the children of the Seo family from Choksan, as well as the individual, Theo, who was lying on the ground. The man acknowledged Dante's growth in power during the period they had been apart. Dante disclosed that he had spent approximately 40 years in the Lone Spirit Land, leading to the circumstances that had unfolded. Upon attaining the law of spirit energy, he had successfully tamed the white cloud crane. With a touch of sarcasm, Dante suggested that the others should consider immersing themselves in the concentrated spirit land for a century to undergo similar intensive training. Dante expressed his belief that with the combined efforts of himself, the individual lying on the ground, and the white cloud crane, they would be a formidable force against their opponents. He questioned if the enemy was willing to endanger their lives for the children of the decimated Seo family. The man agreed to allow Dante to take the children of the Seo family from Choksan. However, he emphasized that they could not permit Dante to take the law of spirit energy individual because of his actions that had caused harm to an elder of their family. In reaction, Dante laughed in response to the situation. Dante expressed his fondness for the individual lying on the ground, indicating a reluctance to part ways with him. Despite his feelings, Dante believed that if verbal reconciliation was not possible, resorting to force was the only alternative. In response to Dante's resolve, the man, angered by the situation, instructed Dante to take Theo away. Acknowledging the man's adeptness in evaluating the circumstances and making decisions, Dante and the white cloud crane departed, causing the evil sect to retreat. Dante scolded Theo for presenting a false facade, calling him a punk for his actions. Theo calmly responded that it had been a while since they had last met. Surprised by Theo's presence, Dante remarked that Theo was still as daring and impulsive as ever. Dante expressed surprise, mentioning that he had believed Theo was still at the heavenly birth level, only to discover that Theo had actually reached the law of spirit energy. Theo modestly responded, attributing his progress to luck that had allowed him to enhance and elevate his abilities significantly. Dante disagreed with Theo's notion of luck, insisting that Theo's advancement was a result of his own skill and effort. Theo replied with a simple, "Is that so?" in response to Dante's compliment. Dante expressed pride in Theo's actions, admiring the fact that an alchemist would courageously endanger his life for others. Additionally, he appreciated Theo's humble demeanor towards everyone he encountered. Dante found himself growing fonder of Theo due to these admirable qualities. Theo inquired about how Dante had recognized him despite hiding his face. Dante replied, stating that he could identify Theo based on his distinctive defensive techniques. Theo simply responded, "I see." Acknowledging Dante's explanation, Dante remarked that no one else would involve themselves in others' affairs as Theo did. He credited reaching the later stage of the law of spirit energy and leaving the lone spirit land to the giant shadow tortoises Niden. Dante visited the Seo family to mark this achievement, only to be met with unexpected circumstances. Reflecting on the situation, Dante realized that while he believed he had undergone significant change, the world around him had transformed even more. Wayne announced their arrival. An elderly woman, observing their condition, noted the severity of their wounds and advised them to rest and receive proper care. She extended the invitation for both Wayne and Dante to enter. Dante agreed to follow her suggestion. Theo, reflecting silently, speculated that the elderly woman must also be at the first stage of the law of spirit energy. Wayne revealed that in the secret underground space of the location, there was a setup prepared for emergencies. Assuring that there were no strangers present, he decided to open the passageway without concealing any details. With determination, Wayne opened the hidden passage, signaling for everyone to enter. Theo contemplated that the arrangement Wayne mentioned was a teleportation portal. Comparing it to other portals like the Forest of Beasts and the Iron Sphere Sex, Theo noted that it was significantly larger. Theo speculated that they might have the ability to teleport to a distant location using this portal. Despite his curiosity about its destination, he assumed that it was a secret closely held by the Seo family of Choxin. Wayne, holding a pouch, offered it to both Theo and Dante, expressing gratitude for the kindness they had shown. He acknowledged that the spirit stones in the pouch were a small token compared to the generosity they had received, apologizing as it was their only way to repay them. Dante, reacting with surprise and disbelief, protested against accepting the spirit stones, stating that he would not take them. He criticized the idea of receiving these stones intended for the reconstruction of Wayne's family, considering it inappropriate. Wayne reassured them, explaining that the spirit stones offered were just a fraction of what they had gathered for this purpose. Dante declined the offer of spirit stones, citing that his progress to the later stage of the law of spirit energy was due to family head Seo sending him to the lone spirit land. He expressed that saving everyone was his way of repaying that debt. Theo, internally conflicted, had initially decided not to accept the spirit stones. However, witnessing Dante's refusal made Theo even more hesitant to accept them. Theo politely declined Wayne's offer, stating that he had assisted them without expecting any reward and believed the spirit stones would be more beneficial for Wayne and the others. Dante, amused by Theo's response, laughed heartily, praising Theo for his noble character and selfless nature. He expressed his certainty that Theo would respond in such a way. Wayne shared his realization that prior to the disaster, he had been shielded by his family's protection, sheltered from the harsh realities of the world. However, facing this calamity had opened his eyes to the heartless and cruel nature of the world. Despite this, encountering Theo and Dante made him see a glimmer of hope, realizing that the world was not entirely bleak. Overwhelmed with emotion, Wayne bowed down to the ground, tears in his eyes, as he expressed his determination. He vowed that together with Grace and Carl, they would rebuild their family. Wayne promised to ensure that everyone from the Seo family would recognize and appreciate the greatness of Theo and Dante. Dante encouraged Wayne to stand up and shift the focus to the destination of the teleportation portal. Wayne revealed that the teleportation portal was connected to Daewon Nation, the location that he believed would play a crucial role in the reconstruction of the Seo family. Dante was taken aback by the revelation and sought clarification, questioning if they were indeed planning to depart from Jianyang Nation altogether. Wayne confirmed Dante's understanding, explaining that Daewon Nation was renowned for being home to the most skilled alchemists. He emphasized that although the journey would be challenging, going to Daewon Nation would provide them with the opportunity to broaden their horizons, elevate their levels swiftly, and establish a strong foundation for rebuilding the Seo family from Choxin. Dante expressed his concerns, mentioning that he had heard that in Daewon Nation, they valued strength above all else and had little regard for life. He anticipated that many perilous situations might arise from such beliefs. Wayne acknowledged Dante's apprehensions, highlighting that the process of rebuilding the family was inherently challenging and would not progress smoothly. Dante acknowledged the progress Wayne and his companions had made in becoming respectable alchemists. He inquired if there were any available slots left in the teleportation portal. Wayne informed Dante that the portal could accommodate up to 7 slots at once, leaving 3 slots vacant. Dante expressed his interest in utilizing the remaining slots for himself. Wayne, taken aback by the sudden request, responded with surprise, seeking clarification on Dante's unexpected decision. Dante reflected on the circumstances, noting that Yangzhou had transformed into a world dominated by evil sects, prompting him to believe that as a later stage law of spirit energy practitioner, he had no reason to remain there. He expressed his aspiration to progress further to reach the breath of the sun, suggesting that Daewon Nation might hold the key to his advancement. Wayne mentioned that the elderly woman outside also wished to accompany them, offering his assistance to facilitate their journey. He expressed comfort in the idea of Dante joining them, ensuring that he felt more at ease knowing they would travel together. Dante, with a smile, inquired if Theo would also join them on the journey. Theo responded, expressing interest but indicating that he was unable to go at that moment. Dante contemplated aloud, mentioning the common belief that it is crucial to sever ties swiftly before becoming entangled in them. He pondered on whether it was more advantageous for alchemists to cut off ties promptly or to allow themselves to be bound by them. 3 days later, Wayne noted that they had waited just in case, but it seemed they were the only ones remaining. He asked Theo if he knew how to open the secret passageway and if he had placed the spirit stones for use. Theo confirmed that he knew how to open the secret passageway and had prepared the spirit stones for their journey. Wayne bid farewell, expressing the sentiment of meeting again when the time was right. He wished them well as they prepared to use the teleportation portal and embark on their next adventure. Theo reflected on his feelings, realizing that he had underestimated the depth of his connection with Wayne and the others, feeling a sense of emptiness now that they had departed. He acknowledged that assisting them and arriving at this place had brought about positive experiences. With a sense of nostalgia and introspection, Theo decided it was time to return to the mountain, carrying with him the memories of the journey and the bonds formed along the way. Arriving at the mountain crest, Theo discovered that the siege team had already disbanded. He explained to others that he had lost his way in the forest as an excuse for his absence. The Tiger Clan Manor, the Iron Sphere sect, and the 3 Ministry Martial Arts family concluded that there were no survivors left, unaware of Theo's involvement in the recent events. Yona thought to herself about Theo's impressive skills, yet she couldn't shake off her worries. She felt a sense of unease, unable to disregard a nagging concern that lingered in her mind. Theo suddenly arrived in the cultivation area.
Go, go.